and pancake mix. Now requires no mix. Rizzo Purple Berry Crunch. Superkill flakes and purple berry flavored power nuggets. Now with 12%.
Captain, if you're looking for crew members... We're now in orbit above Fallbrook, Captain.
I see you're still in one piece. However, you never know when that could change. Consider our accidentally torn into tiny fragments coverage. Note that all of your fragments must be recovered and must be smaller than a standard bit cartridge for the payouts to kick in. I remember that one. That's the young socialite who broke her neck, right?
Of course, no one remembers me for the marauders I've killed or the bits I've stolen. Typical.
That claim was airtight. Our best investigators couldn't find an exclusion for that one. You can't, of course. Only Miss Fenhill can assign her beneficiaries. And she's dead. If we let every friend, relative, and acquaintance change a policy like that, people would do it all the time. Imagine the paperwork. Of course she is. The paperwork says so.
I like to think she's dead in spirit, but technically, legally, and regretfully, I'm still Marilyn Fenhill.
That's impossible. By all accounts, she was an elegant and classy woman with impossibly fine bone structure. That couldn't possibly be you.
That's gotta be the nicest thing anyone's said to me in a long while.
Oh, you mean hypothetically? Well, hypothetically, you'd access the terminal in the back room that contains data on all our policies. And you'd, theoretically, add the beneficiary of your choice. But you wouldn't actually do that, of course. That would be fraud. I think you have something in your eye. Perhaps I can interest you in our ocular abnormality coverage. That's for the best. What can I do for you? We're not on Monarch. For all practical and tax-related purposes, this office is an official enclave of Byzantium. Legally speaking, corporations are not allowed to operate on Monarch, But financially speaking, there are certain costs to running a business from within Byzantium's walls. So while our official address is in the city, and while our office here is technically an extension of that address, we found it more expedient to conduct our key operations here. So we can... what's the phrase? Pass savings to the consumer, of course. We prefer to think of it as chasing the savings. Turns out that not having to pay kickbacks, fines, and rent in the most expensive city in Halcyon improves our liquidity. Plus, Sublight keeps this place running remarkably well, and they sure drive business our direction.
Great work.
A word, Captain? You really did it. Give these payouts a few years and I'll be rolling in it. I've never been prouder to stand back and watch someone else work. I'm just glad my folks aren't gonna live off that awful story they made up. Maybe now they'll have to go back to real jobs. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have the money too. Just don't ask me what I plan on doing with it. If only you could have been my chief surgeon back in the day. Anyway, enough of that. You did a job for me, so here's your fee. Don't make it weird. Even you've got to be in it for the money now and then. Why else would you go through all this trouble? I always thought it meant we get used to the smell of each other's dirty socks. But you really do see a rosier version of things, huh? Well, I've got a few years of experience that would suggest differently. Still, maybe you've got a point. Maybe it's good to watch someone's back now and then so that one day they watch yours. So, you just keep the money. One of us has to look out for your interests. Yeah, don't make too much of this, okay?
I believe I hear Felix and Parvati discussing the latest aether waves. We are now in orbit above Byzantium, Captain. Stay safe out there.
Are you still tinkering with that?
It's not gonna fix itself.
Don't we have repair drones for that kind of thing?
This was a repair drone.
Try anti-Cleo. It's better than nature.
Doesn't look like any of the corporate freighters.
But what would they be doing here? And how did
Anti-Cleo's facial mask skin leaves you feeling fresh and tingly. Do not operate as
Your best find this week.
I think I've figured out what you need. Besides a smoke and some privacy. Our crew's like a machine. All the parts got to work together or we'll shake ourselves to pieces.
I've never been good with metaphors, Parvati.
We need each other to work right. You need a team, and I need someone who'll be truthful with me.
This property is off limits. Solicitors, loiterers, and uninvited visitors will be fined to the fullest extent of company policy. This ultimatum brought to you by Universal Defense Logistics. That's funny. The minister isn't expecting visitors, and you don't much look like one of those couriers from HPS. Minister Clark's a private man, and you're asking too many questions.
So what if all those MSI ships made it on Barnard the whole time? I can question.
Ellie, we gotta talk. My second least favorite set of 4 words. Here we go. You gotta stop treating me with kid gloves. I'm not gonna fall to pieces if you look at me sideways, and I'm not going away. It's fine if you don't like me, but we gotta find a way to work together. For the crew.
Never heard you sound this forceful. It's kind of refreshing.
A UDL security attendant is always prepared.
Burning the midnight oil, are we? The Halcyon Parcel Service's work is never done. Welcome to Halcyon Parcel Service. Deliveries guaranteed within standard margins of accuracy. We do, in fact, have a parcel here for a Mr. Clark, Minister. You're not an official member of the Halcyon Parcel Service team. That means you'll have to sign a release form. Oh, I'd have to submit a request for a release form, and then wait for a receipt for my request of a release form. Then you'd have to make an appointment. You're welcome to lodge a complaint in our suggestion box. Actually, no. We're still waiting on our delivery of a new suggestion box. You do that? Wow. Hey, you know, a positive review from the minister would go a long way in my semi-monthly employment audit. Here's your parcel to be delivered to Mr. Clark, Minister. Law speed.
I'm afraid I can't help you at the moment. Have a prosperous day.
Okay, gone quiet.
What do you think you're doing? I don't have time for this. Move along.
Nice going. Gosh, that's clever.
So you really want to be real, huh?
Sure do.
All right. From now on, you're getting raw, unfiltered Ellie. Hope you got some rubber gloves.
You must be joking.
How splendid. Another rung leech wandering through the streets of Byzantium. Why, just this morning I thought to myself, as lovely as the gardens are, what they really need is more greasy vagrants frolicking through them. And here you are, frolicking. Ugh, how utterly expected. You must be one of those violent vagrants I've heard tell of, wandering the system in search of brutality. Honestly, what is the board thinking letting so many of your ilk into the city proper? It's madness. I earned my place here, just like everyone else. My grandfather was the CIO at Tile, you see. I just told you. My grandfather made millions of bits as CIO, and I earned them from him. Of course it is. Wealth is the most visible, objective measure of success. And success isn't given to you, it's earned. My grandfather taught me that. If you have wealth, you're successful, and if you're successful, you must have earned it. Honestly, it's a simple concept. You're welcome. Now, do we have any further business, or are you just here for the repartee?
I'm ready for this one! So you really want to be real, huh? Sure do. All right. From now on, you're getting raw, unfiltered Ellie. Hope you got some rubber gloves.
There's nothing to see here. Move along.
Chasing us off already? This feels familiar.
Ma'am, please don't cause a scene.
I want you to know I'm holding back for your sake.
Do you have any actual business here, or...? Yeah? Let's see it. Looks like your papers are in order. All right. Go on through.
Great work.
So what if we did our part this whole time? I could do it. Easy.
How did you get in here? You're not one of my guards. What are you doing here?
Oh, my law. Captain! Captain! That's the minister! Mr. Clark! Oh, wow!
So, this is one of the guys who runs the colony, huh? Small room for a big shot.
If this is about another Aetherwave clip or radio spot, you may kindly fuck off, as the parlance goes. I'm not doing any more. Drugs, of course. What else would it be? I don't have any drugs. You should try a vending machine or a purveyor of curative goods.
I don't know if our chemicals are here, but this guy is definitely not.
Will that be all, then? Oh dear, I don't think I can say this any more slowly. Unless... Of course! It's Rockwell again, who else? And I thought he was only holding me here to keep me out of the way. You are a quick study, indeed. I've long suspected Rockwell of transacting business in my name, but this proves it.
Yeah, sure. It's always someone else who ordered the hookers and energizing ointment.
Please, this is important. Whatever it is that brought you here, Rockwell's the one behind it. After seeing this place, is it really a stretch? I've been confined to this house for years, and even I can tell you, things aren't right in Halcyon. Whatever Rockwell's doing, he'll be doing it from the HHC headquarters. Your best lead is to look for details in his office.
This all feels off, Captain. Like when there's a storm coming, but everything's quiet and still.
Believe me, things have been off around here for a very, very long time. A reckoning is most certainly due.
We really gonna do this? Getting involved is a messy business, and it rarely pays.
This is about more than bits. This is about the survival of the colony. If you don't help, who will? Why, this is starting to sound like an issue of Dissident Hunter. We're discussing industrial espionage, legal redress, the possible salvation of Halcyon. Is this not exhilarating? Also, this is the longest conversation I've had with someone else in quite some time. I dearly hope I'm not imagining this. Now, we've got to get into the HHC. That's in the Acropolis District, along with the other major corporate and government facilities. But only board employees are allowed into the district. There's a heavily guarded checkpoint just down the street. There might be a route through the maintenance tunnels, but I'm afraid I don't know specifics. Most people avoid the area for obvious reasons. When you reach the HHC building, this access card should get you up to the executive suites, where the chairman's office and what used to be my office are. Oh, I haven't been allowed up there in years. I shudder to think what Rockwell's done with the place. A gilded minibar, perhaps? A personal theater. The man has too much money and too little sense. The board's lackeys are none too bright. I simply claimed I'd lost it and hid it somewhere no one would think to look. I merely hid it in a book. No one reads anything longer than a few pages around here. There are a few advantages to dealing with imbeciles. Wait! Rockwell has one of the only terminals capable of transmitting to the Earthbound message drone. This is our chance. Please, take this and transmit it from his office. Rockwell hasn't given me any messages from Earth for years. He's desperate to keep me out of contact with the Earth Directorate. But they need to know what's happening here. Why, indeed. I know so little about you, much less your motivations. But I'm afraid I don't have many options, confined as I am. Besides, I've nothing to lose. If you're looking into Rockwell, I can only hope you're also looking out for Halcyon. What isn't on it is the real question. I've gathered meeting minutes, internal messages, sustainability reports, and more, all exposing the corruption and mismanagement plaguing Halcyon. Once the rest of the Earth Directorate sees it, they'll have to send help.
You're awful trusting for a guy who's been locked in his own house for years.
The Earth Directorate is our best hope. Even Rockwell's resources are no match. And it is hardly in their interest to let Halcyon crash. Depending on the nature of their response, months at least, perhaps years. Organizing and sending personnel all the way out here is no mean feat. Perhaps there is hope after all. And now I entrust it to you. Good luck, and trust no one in the Acropolis District.